Hey everybody, welcome to Dynamite After Dark. This is Jeff, one half of Kingdom of Honor. Unfortunately, Shane can't join us tonight, so this could be a really quick recap. But I wanted to get something up on the on our live channel anyway. Shane's having some computer difficulties, and it doesn't look like he's going to be ready to go anytime soon. So, um, all in all, tonight's show was, for lack of a better word, I would say underwhelming. So many continuity issues, so many things happened throughout the night that really didn't gel. And I know we've run into this problem, especially I have, where I watch something that is absolutely fascinating. One of the best things I've ever seen, which is what we did with the Bound for Glory, TNA's Bound for Glory from 2005, which is absolutely the greatest pay per view I think I have ever seen. And when you come off something like that, sometimes when the continuity doesn't gel very well and it's not, necessarily the best program, it does kind of lead a little bit to disappointment. And I think that might be where I was with this, more so on the storylines and the things that had happened as opposed to the in ring action. The in ring action was great, absolutely great. I enjoyed every match except for Pineapple Pete versus Jericho, which is really sad because that might have been the one I was looking forward to the most. But I did feel like they delivered the in ring product. The both tag matches were good for what they were. Um, the match itself with Christopher Daniels and Brody Lee was excellent, and that fatal four way with the women was outstanding as well. But like I said, a few continuity issues that really stuck with me. And Shane and I, of course, were talking throughout the entire show, but it started with Cody. Lance Archer comes out, and Jake Roberts does, a heel promo as only Jake Roberts can. But here we are again with Cody coming in and getting the upper hand. One thing about Cody and pretty much every one of his feuds have been the same, where he seems to play the heel because he always seems to get the upper hand in every situation. He always seems to come out on top, and tonight was no different. I don't know what that was with the truck and the crashing into the barricade. That was just not good at all. I mean, it would have been better had he actually driven it into the arena, and I realize he couldn't do that with the space, but still, just why even bother? Just come rushing in. Why even bother with the crashing into the barricade? So that started off right rough, and then getting the best of Lance Archer right away, and then going after Jake, making the feud more about Jake than about his upcoming fight with Lance, which promo wise, yes, this has been a feud between Jake and Cody, but I want to see Lance Archer as the dominant force that is an actual threat to Cody. And again, I'm not getting that feeling. Just like I didn't with MJF, just like I didn't with Darby Allin, just like I didn't with Shawn Spears, or any other um, Cody feud that he's been in. So I mean, there was that. There was the where he's clearly the heel in all of this. I thought JR was a little bit off his game tonight. He said some things throughout the night that really kind of got me to do a double take at my screen. So there was that, and which is rough because last week he was really solid, really good at announcing. I felt like there were some missed calls and a few things that could have been a little bit could have been done a little bit better. Another continuity issue that really kind of bothered me, and I know it kind of bothered Shane too, was Kenny got attacked on the ramp. Now, us wrestling geeks, we all know that there's a gorilla position where they're waiting right behind the curtain to make their entrance. And what I don't understand is if and here's Shane's calling me, so maybe we will get a show after all. Hey Shane, you finally got loaded, huh?
Finally got loaded. Are we still on the air?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I was
All right.
just going. I talked about the Cody and his antics and how he's more of a heel, and I'm getting kind of sick and tired of him winning every feud, um, and not just
Yeah.
winning every feud, but single-handedly like destroying the competition and never having that real. I understand this is a feud that is that started with Jake versus Cody. But at some point, we need to have it become Lance versus Cody. And, I don't understand the whole truck thing. I don't understand his crashing into the ridiculous barricade and then getting out and just beating the hell out of Lance Archer before making
Yeah.
his way to the ring. It just. It,
That was completely ridiculous. Like you said, I mean, he could have easily climbed over that barricade. There was no reason to smash his truck into a barricade that was doing nothing to bar anybody from doing anything.
well,
That was just completely ridiculous.
and not just that, the fact that he went through all that drama with his brand new F-150, and he revs his engine and then runs in and then stops right before the barricade and creeps up to it to knock it over. It would have been so much more dramatic had he just run in than
Yeah, but
having.
even that would have been pointless.
But well, yeah, especially when you consider what happened. The aftermath. It just. Cody to me is one of the biggest heels on AEW, and he continues to prove it week after week.
Yeah, I feel like Cody Rhodes is impossible to cheer for now. I mean,
I'm the same
I
way.
think it's been that way for months, but I mean, I think he's just impossible to. I mean, what is there about this guy that's likable? You know, he's got a hot wife and he's defending her honor. Great, but where was he last week when she really needed him?
And
Um,
the only reason.
he's he's flaunting his he kind of flaunts his wealth out in front of us. He's got that got that big rig he does stupid shit with. He doesn't have any obstacles to ever overcome because he's always in the driver's seat with everything.
Exactly.
There's nothing about him that's a baby face. And if you wanted and to solidify it all, he got that stupid neck tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It's really sad because up until this last, I don't know, couple of months, there was a solid argument for him being one of the top 4 or 5 wrestlers in the world. But his matches have become formulaic. His antics are screaming heel, but he's being cheered as a babyface. It's not. He might be seriously in need of a character tweak. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I guess babyface about Cody is that he's against a heel faction. But now he's not even against a heel faction because he's not even in that match against the inner circle at coming up. He can't because he's got this match against Lance Archer.
Yeah,
And really, I mean, what has Lance Archer done for me to want to boo him?
exactly. That's the other thing. Other than his normal KES stuff and Suzuki Gun stuff, where he beats up the ring announcers and uh, they don't have young lions, but he finds somebody backstage to push around. He really doesn't do anything except go out and put on good matches and um, impress us with his athleticism, size, and work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about throwing around people that don't deserve it, Steve Austin did the same thing when he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He got cheered out of the building for it.
Oh,
So
exactly, exactly. And so I mean, there was that, and not to take away from the in-ring action, because outside of the Pineapple Pete match, it was actually really good tonight. I thought that Fatal Four Way was an excellent match. A little bit weird at the end, with Britt focusing on Chris Statlander and letting Sheeta win after the whole broken nose incident. The other part of it that I'm kind of a little confused about, didn't we just see Sheeta versus Nyla Rose? Wasn't that at the last pay per view because she was number one contender then?
um,
Or did
I
Nyla. Did not, no, yeah, it was because Nyla won it 2 pay per views ago against Rio.
I don't remember what the women's match was at the last pay per view. It might have been Shia.
I know they were building towards it, and she was the number one contender because I remember um, feeling, kind of like the Cody treatment there too, where a perfect opportunity to make Sheeta a threat going into that match would have been having Sheeta get the victory in that tag team where Nyla in that tag team match where Nyla just destroyed her.
Right.
And then I'm almost positive that they had that match already, but she's still the number one contender. She's still, and now they're going to do a repeat of a match we just saw, which I'm fine with. I mean, she does the best worker in the company, but um, it confuses me that the announcers, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was a dream. I guess I don't know, but it really confused me with the way the announcers were building it up. Like she's finally getting her shot after being the number one contender for such a long time, and I'm like, wait, I thought she had her shot.
No, I think Rose had a match against Sheeta on Dynamite, but I think it was before Rose was the champion. Um, at the last pay-per-view, it was actually Chris Statler and they got the shot at Nyla Rose.
Okay, yep, you're right, you're right, you're right. So it might have been they were going after their number one contendership. That might have
Yeah,
been what it was. Okay.
yeah, um, yeah. That and then like you said, there was that tag match where Rose kind of dominated Sheeta in as well. And now we got their two finally against each other one on one. And um, well, I know it's probably not going to happen because I think they need to build Nyla up again after first of all she was off that so long after that suspension. Then she goes back and wins the title, and then is off again because of the COVID stuff. But I mean, I really think at some point they need to pull the trigger on Sheeta because she's far and away the best women's wrestler in the company.
Yeah, and I mean,
She's and I'll even go a step farther than that. She's one of the top five wrestlers in the company
I'm
as
not
far as
going to
actually in ring stuff.
I'm actually not going to disagree with that. You're 100% accurate. She is one of the best in the company.
Yeah.
And then jumping to and right when you called, I was starting to get into the whole tag match debacle at the beginning, where we're wrestling fans. Most of us are very knowledgeable about the product. We know what a gorilla position is. That's literally where the back or the wrestler that's coming out next is standing right behind the curtain, waiting for their entrance music to hit. So what I don't understand is Kenny Omega is getting his ass handed to him on the stage right in front of Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy waited till they got back to the ring, waited till PNP had the upper hand, and then waited till his music hit before he came out.
Yeah, they should have said something like they should have said something they did last week and said, Matt Hardy couldn't get there any faster because he was actually on his way in the golf cart to meet Kenny when Kenny got jumped in the beginning or something. But still, even if you say that, when the music hit, he still walked out there very slowly, surveying the situation before he ran down to help.
Yeah, well, no, he stood there and waited for Santana, or was it Ortiz, one of the two, to come running up and meet him.
Okay.
He didn't even make an effort to save his partner. I mean, they put on an excellent match. I think Hardy's doing one of the best in-ring stuff I've seen in a long time. Granted, I didn't see much of his WWE run because of, well, it's WWE. Um, but he's actually he looks really good in the ring, and it was another solid match. I just really had an issue with that. I think the whole night, and I said it at the top that I one of my biggest issues with tonight, and this happened before when there was this amazing street fight, but we had seen a better one less than 2 nights before that, and I kind of feel like I had the same feeling tonight where maybe this wasn't such a horrible episode. It had some really bad continuity issues, really bad. They didn't do very well with storylines. They didn't do very well with just common sense. But we just literally saw the greatest pay per view of all time and talked about it last night. So am I holding this to a little bit higher standard because I just saw something that was so great that I'm like, okay, this didn't hit all the marks? Or
It,
was it really, or were the continuity issues really that bad?
yeah, it's funny that you say that because I actually intentionally did not watch the special impact that follows up like 2 weeks later after the Bound for Glory that we watched last night because I was like, I'm okay. I don't want to watch that show, get super excited about it, and then watch Dynamite and be like totally down
Just
on it because of what I just watched 5 minutes before.
right.
You
Yeah,
know?
and I kind of
uh,
struggle. In fact, I actually took a nap this afternoon just so I didn't turn on Impact because I after watching Bound for Glory, I've been so geeked on that era of
mhm.
Impact that last night, and had you not been watching it, I would have watched it last night. Instead, I had to watch the worst excuse for a pro wrestling match I've ever seen.
I was about to say, I actually was going to say that you said about Matt Hardy that I haven't seen him much lately because it was WWE and yet you watched Money in the
I
Bank last
well,
night.
I was sitting there and you were watching the TNA episode, so I was, and I didn't want to jump in because, me starting at the beginning when you're already watching it kind of fucks with the app a little bit.
I didn't
Um,
realize that it did that. Okay.
it's happened to me before, so I didn't want to watch it, so I figured, you know what, I'll just watch some old school WWE. I was thinking of going to that '87 Survivor Series and watching that since
Oh my God, you should. That's a great show.
it was Ms. Fan, right, that's doing the legacy thing on it.
Yeah, Misfan and Mystic.
So I wanted to watch it and then go listen to their show, but as soon as I turned it on, I'm like, I know this is going to be a bad idea, but I have to see what they did. Um, and man, that was the worst mistake of my life. What a just horrible pile of. First of all, I mean, let's get into this. First of all, we knew it was going to be a clusterfuck disaster of a match to begin with, simply because they're fighting through the Titan Towers. But let's put it this way.
Hey, hang on, Jeff. Before you go any further, I need to go get a piece of pie.
Oh, shut up. 9, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. There's people in Titan Towers working. First of all, let's put it that way. There's people actually working in Titan Towers.
Not well,
S
knowing Vince McMahon's reputation, that would not surprise me.
for Vince McMahon. But Brother Love, they had a spot where Rey Mysterio, the toilet flushes as Rey Mysterio's running by the bathroom, and he has to stop and talk to Brother Love.
Now, Brother Love is Bruce Pritchard's brother, right? It's not Bruce Pritchard himself,
No, it's Bruce
right?
Pritchard.
It is Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah.
right.
And then they
Because I know his brother's in the business too. So
and then they go on this ridiculous spot where they're trying to get up the elevator. But Asuka's in the elevator, and then some of the male wrestlers finally find an elevator, and they fight. For some
did you just
reason,
say Asuka?
yeah, Asuka, Jesus, Asuka.
Okay, go
And,
ahead.
and here's the part that really bothers me is somewhere in the middle between, like, if you get in the elevator and you're trying to get to the top, why would you not just go to the top? Why did her elevator door open on like floor 4? And then she sneaks out and goes up while everybody else is fighting. And then, of course, somebody dressed in a Doink the Clown. It wasn't Doink, but it was somebody in a Doink the Clown outfit kind of peeks his head up all creepily. Then they move on, and we get an AJ Styles segment where he sees a picture of The Undertaker and all of a sudden starts having flashbacks. And they legitimately did cut scenes to his Boneyard match. So he was having a PTSD episode in the middle of this Money in the Bank match just because he saw a picture of The Undertaker.
And we can see it inside his head.
Oh yeah, yep, we could see it. We actually saw the flashbacks.
That's as bad as that WCW episode where Hogan looked in the mirror and saw was it Kevin Sullivan he saw in the mirror?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got worse. It got worse. Then the next scene we cut to is Paul Heyman sitting at this huge buffet. Now keep in mind, this is 9 p.m. at night on a Sunday night. And there's a pay-per-view going on with his company. But he is sitting in Titan Towers at this huge buffet. And he's, picking out some food, and the wrestlers all come in, and then Otis sees the food and starts freaking out and screams food fight. So now we have to have a full food fight in the middle of the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Because God knows having a food fight is way more important than a shot at the world championship.
Right, exactly. And then, all the wrestlers kind of clear out except for him and Nia Jax, and they're staring at each other while he's eating a fucking sandwich. So now we follow Otis for a little bit. He goes to the a cafeteria, which I guess is on like the 10th floor or whatever. I don't know. But for some reason, he goes to the cafeteria and he's grabbing snacks and throwing them into his mouth. And then he sees a piece of pie. And he spends a good minute staring at this piece of pie before John Laurinaitis wheels out and he got hit in the face with the pie, and then he runs off. It gets worse. Then we cut to AJ and Daniel Bryan fighting in an office, in an office, just beating the hell out of each other. Then all of a sudden they noticed that Vince McMahon was sitting there. They stopped fighting. They looked all scared. Vince McMahon screams at them to get out. They cowardly start walking towards the door, stop, go back, put his furniture back in place, and then leave. And then they stand in the hallway calling each other chickens for the way they acted in front of Vince before they started fighting again. That is the exact same feeling that I had while watching it. I was literally sitting there with my mouth dropped wide open going, what the fuck? And then, of course, Otis wins the match after he fails to climb the ladder because, quote unquote, he's too fat to climb the ladder and broke the ladder. So, they had to have a weird spot at the end where Baron Corbin and AJ are fighting over the ladder. Baron falls off the ladder because he got hit by the guitar from Elias. And then he fumbled the case and it fell into Otis's hands, so Otis is the winner.
I have no words.
Not to mention both Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black got thrown off the roof by Baron Corbin. And they fell literally about 2.5 feet before you heard a thud. So, and the roof was just tiny to begin with. That ring is 18 by 18. The roof itself, the roof area that they were fighting over, might have been like 25 by 25. So on Titan Towers, that's only like a middle portion of the roof. So when they got thrown over the edge, so to speak, there was some sound guy there hitting a board to make it sound like they landed on the ground, but he didn't wait long enough. It was like they got thrown over, and then like a second half later, they hit the ground.
So they had a ring on top of the building?
Supposedly, that's the way that it was supposed to look. Yes. And then there was some weird distracting in the background, and I know they were using green for Money in the Bank and everything, but it looked like a bunch of Christmas trees were surrounding the ring. like lit up neon green trees. And it was so distracting I couldn't even watch what the hell was happening in the ring.
Did you really want to?
Not by that point, no. By that point, I was just sticking through it just to see who actually won it and to see how much worse it could possibly get. And then to see Otis, Otis was Asuka was the first one up there, with the women, and she won it. And then of course, it had to be after the women got their little spot in the ring. There couldn't have been men in there too. There had to be this little spot with the women in the ring, and then Asuka climbs the ring. And for some reason, which I don't understand, Baron Corbin climbs the ladder at the same time Asuka is, and instead of reaching for the men's Money in the Bank, while she reached for the women's, he started fighting her, trying to deny her the briefcase.
Oh my God.
What the hell was that for? And then of course she got the better of him, kicked him down, won it. And then the men enter. And Otis is the first one in. He goes to climb up the ladder, and the ladder kind of creaks a little bit. So he stomps as hard as he can on the bottom rung of the ladder to break it off, to make it look like he was too fat to climb the ladder.
Yeah, because Mark Henry and Big Show weren't too fat to climb the ladder, but Otis would be.
Yeah, Otis is 330. I think what Mark Henry, when he did it, was like 370.
Something like that.
Yeah, but Otis is too fat, and they made too many food references, and it was just...
All right, so Jeff, in the last year and a half now, you've seen 4 absolutely horrendous matches. Maybe more than that, but 4 I can think of the top of my head. So if I made you choose between Vampiro versus Crazy Steve, the food fight Money in the Bank ladder match, Undertaker versus AJ Styles in the Boneyard match, and Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan at uh, Hard to Kill earlier this year. Which one of those would you choose?
Now, see, they were all bad for different reasons.
I
It,
know that's what I'm making you choose.
it's like I think if I had to choose just a bad wrestling match, it would be Crazy Steve versus Vampiro still. I think the only thing that really ruined the Tessa Blanchard Sammy was Sammy's over the top heel antics. The Undertaker Boneyard match was just it is what it was. But this was like if Saturday Night Live did a parody of a wrestling match, this is what it would look like, and it would still be fucking terrible if I was watching it on Saturday Night Live. That's how bad this was. It wasn't even a good parody of a wrestling match. But it wasn't a wrestling match, so it can't beat Crazy Steve versus Vampiro.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I already told you I know I was never going to watch it. So
Yeah, and had you not been watching Impact, I would have. I wouldn't have watched it either, but oh my god, brutality. Anyway, back to Matt Hardy and the continuity issues. Sorry for that little sidetrack, people.
no, that's perfectly fine with me. The you know, one of the things that really bugged me about the show, and maybe like what started really getting me down on it, even after the Cody shit, was that they had one of the best wrestlers on the planet on the show and used him for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Not even in a match. He just blindsided Orange Cassidy, and then he was gone, and then we didn't see him at all the rest of the show. What the shit is that? We haven't
What?
seen him for 3 months, and they use him just to set up a match for next week rather than actually having in a match tonight.
And
I really hated that.
what was the deal with the MJF and Wardlow attacking? Are they in cahoots with? Are we supposed to think that they're in cahoots with the best friends, or is this something personal against Jungle Boy? I didn't understand that whole segment. That was kind of an overbooked little bit of nonsense.
No, I think MJF just picked his spot. He's against Jungle Boy. I'm sorry, he's against Jungle Boy Jack next week.
No, he's
Um,
against Marco Stunt next week.
no, Jungle Boy at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, I should
Oh,
say.
okay.
And so I think he was just kind of jumping in there to attack Jungle Boy. But I kind of marked out when Wardlow threw Marco Stunt into the barricade. That was pretty awesome.
I think the line of the night came out right after that match. In the interview, well, no, it was after the women's match, where Nia said to Shida, "I found your oh, jeez, I can't think of what the name of it is. The stick."
Oh, kendo stick?
Yeah, she goes, "I found your kendo stick, bitch."
Yeah,
I think that was easily the line of the night.
yeah, probably.
But I mean,
But it wasn't a night with a lot of great lines either.
that's a very good point. I mean, the commentary was not very good. The And that's great that Pineapple Pete is becoming Pineapple Pete now and no longer Shugid or Shuggy or whatever the hell his name was. It's great that he's embracing that and changed his name and his character and everything to become Pineapple Pete.
Hmm.
But what was the point of having that match? It did nothing for Pineapple Pete. Absolutely nothing.
Did nothing for either of them.
No,
It was completely pointless.
it was just a lead into the promo afterwards, and they're beating up Vanguard 1 or 2 or whatever it is now.
And I could name like four low key matches where he won the match quickly with an elbow that were better than this one.
Exactly. And one thing that annoyed me about JR is calling it a dominating win. How was it a dominating win when he got his ass handed to him by Pineapple Pete for the first minute, and then just hits a Judas effect and the match is over?
Yeah,
I don't get that. I don't understand that at all.
yeah. The call should have been, and with Jericho's Judas effect, it could end that quickly, folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and not this was a dominating win by Jericho.
No, but I thought JR was rough all night, and I I know I harp on this every time he says it, but I honest to goodness, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I honest to goodness have a visceral reaction of "fuck you" every time he says Jungle Boy Jack or Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Oh yeah, you mentioned it a few times.
It's really, and I'm serious about it. Like I audibly say "fuck you" every time he does it. So I can't help it. It's just a natural reaction for some reason.
The other thing, and I texted you about this too, and I get they wanted to walk away, but it wasn't like the inner circle to walk away. Where you've got these five guys in the ring, and a pouting Matt Hardy because his drone got beat up comes kind of slumping to the ring, and they run away.
Yep.
It made no sense to me. The way that these guys are, their characters would have beaten the holy hell out of Matt Hardy. Instead, they just kind of slink away like, oh, we're afraid because here comes Damascus.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they do something just because the writing calls for them to do it. It doesn't fit their characters. It doesn't fit anything they showed us about them over the last 7 months. I mean, it just that's what the script called for them to do. This that's what they did, and that
Yeah,
and that and that I really hate that.
and that's why I was saying there was so many continuity issues. It just was there were so many out of character things, so many common sense things that just did not gel. That being said, Christopher Daniels looked pretty good too.
By that point, I was kind of like watching my computer trying to see if it was ever going to finish updating, and
Uh,
and I was already annoyed with the show. So I kind of caught a little bit out of the corner of my eye, but I mean, um, yeah, I mean Daniels is always Daniels. So
It was we got the biggest thing you complained about last week. We got it today. It kind of did make sense because it was SCU and Cole Cabana has history with SCU. But having SCU fighting the Dark Order and then Cole Cabana coming to their rescue kind of led into what you talked about last week about how nobody steps up against these the baby faces never learn.
yeah, but that was about a faction that's been dominating for a lot longer than the Dark Order has been
Right,
too.
exactly. And now here's just a thought I had. Um, to me, Moxley is a better chaser than champion. He does deserve his championship, and I agree. And he'll have it many times throughout his AEW career. But I was thinking about this, and to no fault of his own, with the COVID stuff, he hasn't really had that great of a championship run, so you can't really fault him for that. But do you think it's time to pull the trigger, get the belt off of him, and put it on Brody Lee with as great as Brody Lee has looked, give some legitimacy to him and his character, and then have Moxley chase it again?
I do because I think with the Brody Lee, like you said, like his title reign has been kind of snake bit with the whole COVID thing,
Yeah, and it's not his
and
fault.
and it's not his fault at all. But I think the fact that Brody Lee is a stable leader, just like Jericho was, gives him a chance to kind of carve his way through the Dark Order and get another shot at Brody Lee the way that he carved his way through the Inner Circle to get a shot at Jericho.
And I think it would do wonders for Brody Lee's character. Just and it would go. He's already legitimized the Dark Order just by being there. To have him be a dominant champion for 6, 7 months would do amazing things as well. But then again, we also get into dangerous territory having the first three AEW champions being ex WWF guys, WWE guys.
Well, that's true, but
I think at this point, I don't even care about stuff like that. I care more about the storylines and the things that we're watching, and I think it's time for Brody Lee. I think it fits his character, it fits his development, it fits Moxley's character because Moxley is so much better on the chase than he is as a champion. I just think everything about it fits and makes sense.
the other thing that you have to look at is that yes, they're all former WWE talents, but they're not former WWE characters.
No,
Chris Jericho wasn't the list guy coming in and just automatically taking the title away.
no, he was the
It wasn't
painmaker.
Dean Ambrose coming in. It was John Moxley, and it's not um, Luke Harper coming in. It's a completely revamped Brody Lee coming in. and doing the same thing. And I what I really don't like about this whole thing though is and maybe it's just um my personal taste, but I've always hated. No, I shouldn't say I've always hated, but like over the last several years, I've hated the whole belt stealing thing.
Yeah, I think the last time I really enjoyed the whole belt stealing thing was when Six Pac did it in WCW.
Oh, I'm gonna go even further back. I'm gonna go when Midnight Express stole one from the Rock and Rolls.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good too. But yeah, it's not a I don't know. It is what it is. It fits his character. I'm okay with it. Because of his character, but I'm there with you too. It's not something that I really enjoy seeing. But I do like the fact that he's making them announce him as the real world's champion and all that stuff.
Yeah, the self-proclaimed, yeah, Impact World Champ. The other thing about I really I said I try to to sway away from commenting on Jim Ross's commentary, and try to like weigh it on a week to week basis. I thought he was terrible this week, and one thing that really bugged me was when they were talking about the headband of Trent, and he said, and Discover said something about is that headband glued to his forehead, and Ross said I think it's bolted on. Why? Was he like made in a lab? Is he Frankenstein's monster? What the hell did I miss?
He said something about Kip Sabian, and I know it's not what I heard, but I know I heard it incorrectly. But he was when he was talking about Penelope Ford being engaged to Sabian, and he goes, engaged to Chris Sabian, that lucky son of a daddy issues, is what I heard. I know he said bad word, but I heard daddy issues because, he could be Penelope Ford's dad. So it just was, it struck me as kind of funny from what I heard, but
Yeah, that is really funny. And I have no idea what he actually. I mean, it does make sense he would have said bad word, but
yeah,
because he's afraid to curse.
I actually
So
rewound it. He did say bad word, but when I first heard it, I'm like, did he just say daddy issues? Made me laugh.
yeah, I can totally understand that.
Um,
Um, yeah, yeah. Like you said, like that women's match was pretty. One thing that bugged me about tonight, and maybe it's just because they didn't do it last week, and I was hoping they were gonna stray away from it going forward, but there was no picture-in-picture stuff tonight. It was all we're gonna cut in the middle of this match and go to commercial.
yeah, and I think a
And
lot of
and
that's
and and
because
it,
it was.
and it bugged me the most in the women's match because they had just had all four people get announced. They could have taken a commercial break right there before the match actually started, but they chose to take it in the middle of the match. You
Well,
know?
and they did something tonight too that really kind of caught me off guard with the whole the main event when they came back and said, "Here's," or no, it wasn't the main event. It was the Omega Hardy versus PNP match where they came back and said, "Here's what you missed during the commercial break."
Hmm.
I've never seen that on AEW before, and it kind of took me aback. But I mean, this was a taped episode, so it's and for some reason during taped episodes they don't do the picture in picture.
Oh, okay, I didn't know it was a taped episode
Yeah,
this week.
this was they did this one after the live event last week. Next week is going to be the live one before Double or Nothing.
Okay, I didn't know how they were doing it, so that makes and that makes me even more pissed off about Ray Phoenix then because if he was there last week, why didn't he wrestle last week?
Or at least make an appearance.
Yeah, you could have made the appearance last week and wrestled this week. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, like I said, there was some real continuity issues this week that kind of took the product down a little bit. Still good in ring product, but it was not. It what didn't hit as much as good as I would have liked it to.
Yeah, I do want to say I do want to give a shout out to your boy Sammy for his performance this week as a
Right?
as a broken down, destroyed man from last week, limping to the ring to help his buddies out.
Yeah, he
He was so good.
and his when he was down there with when he came out with Jericho and the rest of the inner circle, he was hurt for a second, and then he was singing and dancing, and then he was hurt again. He was on fire again this week.
He had an adrenaline rush.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was. Yeah.
He got fired up by the song, so he had to break into song and dance, and then he remembered his neck hurt.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was on fire tonight. I really enjoyed his performance tonight.
Yeah. And that whole setup with the speaking of the Jericho thing, or that time with the inner circle in the ring, that whole setup with the I'm trying to think of the name. Vanguard
Vanguard.
one was just so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, why would Vanguard just hover right there in bat reach of Jericho? I mean, it was so obvious what was going to happen,
Well,
and it was just so dumb. I much prefer the releasing the hounds to that bullshit.
to take it a step further, why did Vanguard still have that shirt hanging on him 4 weeks later?
And why did it shrink?
Right. Why did no no? It was a remember it was a small one.
Oh, was it
He
okay?
made a small one for Vanguard.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
But
okay.
still, why was it still hanging on him 4 weeks later?
Yeah, why would he have brought it back? I
Right.
really, yeah, I don't get it.
Unless it was to get the line. I had warrants out in 7 counties for this, or 7 states for this, which was a pretty funny Jericho line.
Yeah, he might have been getting the shirt confused with the belt that he lost.
Oh, possibly. Yeah. Yeah. But all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I know it was a little rough start having to listen to me alone for a little bit, but we do appreciate it. If you're listening to us on YouTube, click the like button, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button. Also, check us out on Patreon. Not sure how I'm going to get this episode up there, but I'll do my best. Patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor is where you can hear that. And feel free to help us out. Give a little donation. You can get access to all of our archives and some of our exclusive stuff. Also, follow us on Twitter. I'm at Regi Co-op. He's at ZanmanLOP. Use the hashtag DAD and the hashtag KOH for everything there, and you'll be able to find us easily.
And YouTube will be the home going forward live for LOP Radio, but we are also going to have our shows available as podcasts on Red Circle as well. So, you bookmark us on Red Circle. Jeff will download the audio from tonight's episode and put it on there. I'm assuming. So,
I will.
uh, well, I don't. It's not on Spreaker, so you're gonna have to. So.
Well, it might take me a couple days, guys. I won't be able to get it up right away.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you listen to it live, great. But because I was reading on my computer, I didn't get a chance to get Spreaker up. I didn't get an LP, Lord's Opinion post up regarding it. So this is we had to do what we had to do tonight. So, but going forward, that's where you can find our podcast is going to be on um, Red Circle. And speaking of next week's podcast, we're going to be going over talking about the next in line in 2005 TNA as we covered Bound for Glory last week. Which if you have not listened to last night's episode, please do. That's the greatest pay-per-view in TNA history, maybe the greatest pay-per-view in wrestling history. Although I'll probably still take All In over it. But
Yeah, there's a little bit more love there because you were there live.
yeah,
All In had some great moments, and it's probably the best independent production I've ever seen. But as far as a major show, because I never, by this time, I didn't view TNA as an independent promotion anymore.
yeah, I gotcha, definitely. Yeah, they definitely had their they had a national television deal at this point, and they were already running pay-per-views every month. So yeah, I mean, how could you really view them as an independent at this time?
Right.
Um, and uh, and then tomorrow night on LOP Radio will be the last one actually on Spreaker, and that is going to be M's LOP Radio Adventure. On Friday is WWF The Legacy Series. And then, like I said, we'll be back with you next week talking about, I didn't even say the name of the event, Genesis 2005.
And I'm sure since we're both watching the 3 lead-in shows to it, we'll have some comments on those as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, especially the 2-hour special that they had. So,
Yeah, yeah.
where we have a rematch of the world title match from Bound for Glory, and then also a rematch of the Ultimate X match from Bound for Glory.
Sweet.
Anyway, that's all we've got. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
Goodbye.